friends, this is the Miss Volfie from our Half Acre Homestead, and today I'm going to make a strawberry roll cake for Canada Day. Okay, as you remember, I got some products from banggood.com, so when I make my strawberry roll cake, I'm going to try this flexible silicone jelly roll pan. And because I'm making a sponge cake, we don't grease it. We're just going to put a piece of parchment paper in here. If this pan works really well, then I won't have to dread Briar asking me for his pumpkin spice roll cake every Christmas. So here's what we're going to need for our strawberry roll cake. 3/4 cup of sugar, 4 egg whites, and 4 yolks, obviously separated. 3/4 cup of finely sifted flour, into which 3/4 teaspoon of baking powder and 1/4 teaspoon of salt have been sifted, and you're going to need some vanilla. And this lady, somebody sent me this a long time ago, but it's still really, really good. I keep it in the fridge. First things first, I am setting the oven temperature at 400 degrees to preheat. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our egg whites, just like that, and we're putting them on whisk. This bowl, we're going to beat our egg yolks. I believe that's stiff enough. And now, I'm just going to beat my egg yolks. We're going to gradually add in some sugar and continue to beat. I said gradually. Well, I don't have gradually in my shoulder. Tablespoon of vanilla. I forgot, folks. I forgot I actually have a hand beater. Why wreck my shoulder? Now I'm just going to put in the flour, the salt, and the baking powder. Okay, now we're going to take our egg whites, slide them on in there, and we're just going to fold them in. Now folks, if you've never made any kind of sponge cake before, fold does not mean stir. It means take your spatula, go from the outside of the bowl, and turn it in. That's folding. Because if you stir it, you're going to knock down the fluff of your egg whites. And we really don't want to do that. Just don't want, see how that's fluffing up the other batter, folks? That is what folding does. And it doesn't unfluff your egg whites. And if you folks think I was born knowing this stuff, think again. I learned all this stuff the hard way. Almost there. I can still see a bit of fluffy white egg whites. But see how that's lifted that heavy, heavy batter. That is beautifully folded batter. Here's our jelly roll pan. Now, I don't have a jelly roll pan, and this doesn't fit any of my standard cookie sheets, so I've just put it on a big cookie sheet with parchment on it, and I have lined this. Now we're just going to pour this as gently as possible. Look at that beautiful fluffy batter. Gently spread this as far as we can to all corners of the pan. I think this pan needed a bigger recipe. But we'll see. We're going to bake this in a 400-degree oven for 8 to 10 minutes or until golden. Okay, moment of truth. Here is our cake. And I'm going to say if you ever get this pan, use a 6-egg recipe instead of a 4 because this one didn't quite fill the pan. I'm just going to cover it with a tea towel here. I'm just going to grab this and I'm just going to start to roll it up in the towel. Wow, that works really well. I'm actually going to put it back on the pan so that when I unroll it, however that's going to work. Now, we're just going to let this cool, and we're going to work on our strawberries. Nan's putting the strawberry slicer through its paces. Thanks, Nan.
You're welcome.
Now, you're going to need, well, we sliced up 2 quarts, but we have other plans for the rest of the strawberries. 3/4 of a cup of sugar and this strawberry glaze, okay? Now, you buy these for making strawberry glazed pies, but I don't want the juice from the berries soaking into the cake too much, so we're gonna make the glaze. So we've got 3/4 of a cup of sugar, and we're just gonna drop this strawberry glaze in here. We're gonna let our cake cool for about 10 or 15 minutes. We don't want it completely cool, but we do want it, we don't want it really, really hot either. So we're just gonna mix up this glaze powder and the sugar, and we're gonna gradually beat in. Okay, forget the gradually. We're gonna beat in the hot water. And now I'm just going to stir in what I think is enough strawberries to coat that cake. We don't want the strawberries too thick, because then we won't be able to roll the cake back up. So now we're gonna unroll our cake. Yeah, I probably have too much in here.
You do.
I know I wouldn't listen. But that's okay.
Yep.
So what if it's a strawberry filled cake?
Well, it doesn't matter to me.
And you want to do this quick, folks, because this gels really quick. Okay. Now, I have my plate here. And I'm just going to, you can use the jelly roll pan, but I'm just going to use the parchment. Oh, it's sticking to the parchment.
Yep.
It is sticking to the parchment.
It is.
Well, pretty soon the weight of it is just going to...
Yeah.
I'm just going to slide this off.
Mm-hmm. That's it. And it could have been a little thicker.
Bob's your uncle. I'm going to shift it over onto my dish. Okay, so I screwed it up, folks. But where there's a will, there's a way. I'm just going to tuck it under with my spatula.
Yep.
As for the silicone jelly roll pan, that works really well. I think if I had just sprayed this with a bit of oil, I wouldn't have needed the parchment paper at all. As a matter of fact, the parchment paper actually did me a disservice. Okay, so now I'm just going to take my strawberry roll cake and dust it with organic icing sugar. Why is it organic? Because I ground it myself. I used a 1/4 cup of organic sugar and a 1/2 teaspoon of tapioca starch, and I ground it in my coffee grinder. So I didn't make a jelly roll. I made a strawberry filled cake. There, that's going to have to pass for a maple leaf. Well, it may not be your grandma's jelly roll cake, but it sure does look festive. So, there it is, our strawberry filled Canada Day cake. So what I did is I popped this in the freezer for about an hour, just to firm everything up and freeze the strawberries to the top of the cake. And if I had a long bread bag, it would work nicely. But this is only going in the freezer for a couple of days. So I'm going to just wrap it in 2 bags, one inside the other. And this will be a delicious frozen treat for Canada Day. Now, doesn't that look like a flag to you? This is the Miss Volfie from our half-acre homestead saying, see you on Canada Day when somebody, probably Papa, cuts into this puppy. Take care, God bless.